Hi guys, today we are going to be talking about biomes of the world. We're going to kind of walk through a couple of videos and you're going to fill in your notes as you go. If you weren't able to print the notes, then you're just going to write those in your journal. You will be using these on Wednesday and Thursday to answer some questions and do your escape room. So here we go.
Start big to identify the relationship between ecosystems and the environment. The Earth is divided into biomes, which are large geographic areas that have distinctive plants and animals in a particular climate. Think of a biome as a huge collection of ecosystems with similar climatic conditions.
So biomes are these huge regions, right? Ecosystems can be really, really small. They can even be like a microhabitat. But a biome is big and it's going to have the same type of weather patterns and similar wildlife, even if they're on different continents, right? So you can see some of these areas, right? This huge green section, this is the taiga biome, boreal forest. And even though they're on two different continents, they still have similar wildlife and plant life.
Some of the major biomes found on Earth include deserts, forests, grasslands, tundra, and aquatic biomes. Deserts are dry and have sandy soil. They receive less than 10 inches of rainfall a year. Deserts also make up about one-third of the Earth's land surface. Bet you thought all deserts are hot places. Actually, some deserts in the northern latitudes, such as the Great Basin Desert, can get very cold, especially in winter.
So, deserts, characteristics, very, very, very little rainfall, usually warm, right? Usually hot during the day, but at night, especially, they can get cold. And some deserts can actually be cold instead of hot.
Organisms adapt themselves to life in the desert with its extreme temperatures. For instance, to keep out of the hot sun, many desert animals are nocturnal, active only at night. The jackrabbit's large ears are a special adaptation to help rid its body of excess heat. Some desert plants have shallow roots that spread out along the surface to absorb water easily. Plants are often spaced far apart so they don't have to compete with each other for rainwater.
So, a lot of plants have specialized adaptations that help them to conserve water in the desert, right? That's why they don't have thin leaves like a tree, right? They've got really thick stems like a cactus or even succulents, right? They're very thick because they're trying to store as much water as possible.
Forests, on the other hand, are biomes with enough rainfall to support a large population of trees.
There are three main types of forests, and they're very different, even though they're all forests. Forest just means that they grow trees. So let's look at the differences between the temperate forests, the taiga, and the tropical rainforest.
The three different types of forest biomes are taiga, temperate deciduous, and tropical rainforests. Each of these develops depending on the amount of rainfall and the temperature in an area.
In this section, I want you to highlight rainfall and temperature because in most biomes, not just forest biomes, rainfall, the amount of precipitation, and the temperature determines what types of plants and animals can live there. If it's a lot of rain, it's going to be able to support trees and larger plants, which means that a larger variety of animals are going to be able to live there. If there's not as much rainfall, then they're not going to be able to support as big of a variety of life.
The taiga biome, also known as a coniferous forest, is found close to polar regions. This area faces cold, long winters, and between 30 to 50 inches of precipitation can fall each year as rain or snow. What type of organisms does this biome support?
What do you think? What types of organisms is a forest of evergreen trees? This is actually the world's largest land biome. It takes up about 17% of the Earth's land surface. And so it's going to have a lot of snowfall, but the trees there are going to be evergreens because they need to constantly go through photosynthesis to keep enough energy to be able to still grow and reproduce, right?
Organisms of the taiga have adapted in unique ways to survive the cold winters. For instance, ground squirrels hibernate to conserve energy for the spring. temperatures increase and more food is available. Conifers, or trees that produce seeds in cones, form the majority of trees found in this forest. Most of these trees have needle-like leaves with a waxy covering, a unique adaptation that prevents them from drying out in the winter. Temperate deciduous forests have warm summers and cool winters, receiving between 30 and 50 inches of precipitation a year. If you've ever seen the leaves on a tree turn colors and fall off, you have seen a deciduous tree. Shedding leaves is an adaptation that helps the tree conserve energy and water during the winter. The soil here is very fertile as it's enriched with the nutrients left behind by the fallen leaves decomposing on the forest floor. In fact, if you look closely, you might notice how the insects living on the forest floor camouflage themselves to blend in with the leaves. Closest to the equator, we find tropical rainforests. These forests are always warm and receive a lot of rain, 90 inches or more each year. That's 40 inches more rainfall than the other forests.
Did you get it to work?
How do you think this increased rainfall affects life in your rainforest?
I'm making the video for online.
What?
Hi, Mr. Queller.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
You're good.
Diverse species of plants rapidly grow here thanks to the abundant water. In fact, they grow so quickly that they deplete the nutrients in the soil. Even so, the vegetation is rich enough to support a wide range of animals and insects.
Do you guys see that? A single tree in the rainforest can provide a home for up to 2,000 species. Species, that's different types, not particular organisms, right? Insects, fungi, and microorganisms. It's a crazy amount of biodiversity in the rainforest. This is the highest biodiversity of any biome that we have.
The canopy of trees in a rainforest forms a roof over the rainforest floor, allowing very little sunlight to shine through. Because of this, some plants under the canopy have large leaves to absorb as much sunlight as possible. Sadly, forest biomes are being cut down at an alarming rate, and with the depleting forests, hundreds of plant and animal species are disappearing from the planet on a nearly daily basis. More than one half of tropical forests have already been destroyed.
And this is where our impact and your impact as you grow up and make decisions can really change a whole biome, right? Because this deforestation and this fragmentation of forests is really detrimental to a lot of different species. Remember, this is our highest biodiversity areas, and so we need to preserve those natural ecosystems that have that full range of biodiversity.
Grasslands are another type of biome. Just as the name suggests, most of the vegetation found in this biome is some type of grass or small shrub. There are many different words for grassland environments around the world, including savannas, pampas, plains, steppes, prairies, and veldts. Despite being called different names, grasslands are primarily divided into temperate and tropical grasslands. Temperate grasslands, such as those in the United States, have cool winters and warm summers, receiving up to 30 inches of rainfall a year. Temperate grasslands are somewhere in between deserts and forests in terms of precipitation. A variety of grasses thrive in the rich soil of this area, forming a sea of grass. Animals like prairie dogs and bison live in these grasslands.
And so a lot of our Midwest is grasslands, right? This is rich soil, which can grow a lot of things. And so oftentimes we use this as farmland.
Receiving more rainfall than the grasslands of North America, tropical grasslands like savannas are found in hot climates such as Africa. The wet season with its torrential rains supports some larger scattered trees like a sandbar willow and the acacia tree. Unlike some desert plants, savanna grasses are deep rooted, helping the roots survive even when the grass dies in the dry season. Savannas support large herbivores such as zebras and giraffes, which depend on vegetation for food. Derived from the Finnish word for barren or treeless land, tundra is the coldest of all the biomes. With little precipitation, high winds, low temperatures most of the year, and short growing seasons, trees find it hard to survive here. Of the two types of tundra, Arctic and alpine, the Arctic tundra is found in the northernmost latitudes of the world and is like a cold desert. This unique biome has a layer of permanently frozen soil called permafrost right below the topmost layer of soil. So, how do organisms survive in the tundra?
What do you think? How do organisms survive in an area that's basically frozen? Well, let's find out.
The permafrost actually prevents the little precipitation that the area receives from draining down into the ground. This makes the top layer of soil perpetually wet and mushy, the perfect environment for moss to grow. Plants often bunch together to keep warm and to protect themselves from blowing away in the wind. Animals suited for the tundra have features that help them survive the cold, such as additional fat or the ability to hibernate when food is not available. Alpine tundra, on the other hand, is found above the tree line at the top of high mountains. This region is similar to Arctic tundra, but has longer growing seasons and no permafrost, making the soil well drained.
And so, if it's going to be well drained soil, what do you think? Maybe it's going to be able to have a different variety of life, right?
Over 70% of the Earth's surface is covered by water, so it's only natural for these water bodies to have distinct biomes. As on land, these aquatic biomes are influenced by abiotic factors, such as temperature and the amount of sunlight the area receives.
Remember, temperature and rainfall, those are going to be our two biggest indicators on what types of organisms can live in a particular area, right? That's what determines what biome is what, right? Temperature, rainfall. Both of those are abiotic factors.
The two major aquatic biomes are marine and freshwater. Freshwater biomes are waters that contain less than 1% of salt. A freshwater biome can include rivers, streams, ponds, and lakes, each of which has a different environment depending on its location. Most organisms from a freshwater environment would not be able to survive the salty waters of the ocean.
There are a few exceptions to this rule, right? If you know anything about bull sharks are organisms that are able to survive in both freshwater, brackish water, and saltwater. So we often can see them, swimming up the Mississippi River in search of food, or to find somewhere to hatch their babies, or those types of things.
The marine biome is a saltwater environment that can vary greatly depending on temperature and salinity. For example, a Gulf Coast marine biome is less salty and significantly warmer than the Arctic marine biome. What features enable organisms to survive in salty marine biomes?
What do you think? What's going to allow them to live somewhere salty? Hmm.
Aquatic organisms have characteristics that help them survive in water, such as fins to swim or gills to take in oxygen. Marine organisms also have features that enable them to take in salt water, but get rid of the extra salt. The pink dolphin is one of the many endangered species found in aquatic biomes. This is a fragile biome that is rapidly filling up with plastic twist ties, cola cans, and other debris.
In the next few weeks, we're going to be talking about human impact on these ecosystems that we've been studying, and especially regarding water biomes. And if you've heard anything about the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, or seen cleanup crews taking plastics off of the beaches, this is a big issue, right? Plastics are really terrible for our um, water ecosystems, specifically because the plastic breaks into little tiny pieces And then organisms that live there, they ingest these plastics, and it's really, imagine eating plastic. That's not going to be good for your digestive system, for their body. So this is a really big problem that maybe you guys can help solve when you grow up, or maybe even now.
Many different ecosystems exist within each of the biomes we just learned about. For example, a temperate deciduous forest biome can have a pond ecosystem as well as a forest floor ecosystem with the same climatic conditions, but supporting different organisms. A unique ecosystem might even exist in your own backyard. Think about it. Some backyards may be filled with sandy soil and rocks, while others might even have a pond tucked away in a corner. Each backyard has a unique environment that supports different organisms. The backyard covered in rocks and sand couldn't support a frog from the backyard with a pond.
So, all of that to say that all of these biomes are large areas that are similar in their wildlife and their plant life. They can even be on different continents, but because of their water, right, their precipitation and their temperature, it creates a similar type of environment, and we call that a biome. I hope that helps you guys understand a little bit about the biomes of the world. You will be using these notes over the rest of this week to help you with some questions. So I hope that you enjoyed today's lesson, and I hope you have a great day.